Hello, welcome to Staring Down the Storm, Autism Advocacy in America. I'm your host, Tabitha Ziegler. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I've got a really amazing guest with us today, but I just want to give a little bit of a forward. If you are a trauma survivor, I would say proceed with caution. If you need to take a break, respect yourself, respect your space, and you can always hit pause. We're not going to be offended and come back to it later. If you like this episode and you think that you got something from it, please pass it around. Give us a like and a follow. We would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to do good work here. I'm going to let her introduce herself. So go ahead, Bri. Tell us all about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bri Woodson. I just go by Bri. I'm also known online as the Controversial Blonde. I do have a platform where we break down white supremacy, history, politics, and that spurred me into running for Congress. And I am the youngest Black woman in Georgia's history to run for a congressional seat. And I'm running in the 12th District. That's Augusta, Statesboro, and Dublin. Running to unseat MAGA Republican Rick Allen, who is 74 this year and has been in that seat for a decade.
Shocker.
Shocked.
I mean, for some reason, I'm from the North, right? So there's always been that thing, North and South, Dixie line. And anytime I hear of some white guy that's like 70 plus that has had a seat for 12 years, I'm like, shocker. So good for you.
But to be fair, he's still sharp.
Oh, I'm sure he's sharp.
I'll give him that. He's still sharp.
I would not say
he's not like McConnell level yet.
right. Oh yeah, I'm certainly not saying that these people are not bright, but
I mean, some of them aren't.
Well, we have an overwhelming amount of people that are white or white presenting or would like to be white, you know? But anyway, that's probably a podcast for a different time. So, we are going to talk a lot about trauma here because we talk about the hard things. I think I'm just going to let you take it away and then we'll see where this goes. So tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Well, I had 10 years on and off an active addiction, but towards the end, I ended up just in the wrong cross. My dogs are doing something over there. I have 3 dogs, so if you hear commotion, that's why.
We like dogs.
And towards the end of it, I was drug trafficked by a member of a cartel out of the Dominican. So lucky to be here. Very lucky to be here. That's not a story that a lot of people survive to tell.
Yeah. So. Well, let's dive further into your origin story because everybody probably wants to see like the man behind the mask, if you will. So where are you from? What's your family like? All that sort of thing.
I was born in South Carolina. I lived there with my family until I was 10 or so, and then we relocated to Georgia. I have a little sister. We're only like a year and a half apart, Irish twins. 2 nephews. I am child-free by choice. The only children I have are these dogs and my cat, wherever she is. When I was, how old was I? I don't know, maybe 23, 24 or so. I moved to Colorado by myself with just my dogs and a box of my things. That was interesting. That's actually part of my story I don't talk about very much. But Teddy Bear, old man, he's 14. He doesn't listen. And I figured, he's an old man. He's earned the right not to listen. He has been there through all the big things in my life. But this story in and of itself is wild. So I moved for a man that I had met. And just naivety and inexperience, I did not catch any of the red flags.
Sure.
And I also ignored the obvious red flags. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and it still rings. So long story short, this man had been going through a custody battle. when I moved to Colorado. He was homeless, which I didn't know. So I was homeless with him for a little bit. Ended up being able to find a job, get my own place. I was with him a total of 2 years, believe it or not. He was starting or trying to start an animal rescue. He had 155 acres right under the mountains. And I lived in southern Colorado, so not like your Denver
Mhm.
or your Springs. It's the largest high plains desert in North America, one of the, and it's rough. It would beat out Alaska for coldest place in the nation, damn near every winter. Um, so, when I say homeless, I mean literally off grid in a camper with no running water, electricity,
Mhm. Mhm.
nothing in the middle of the desert. Um, and so this custody battle, he he did not want to play the game as the game should be played. If you, I guess is one way I could put it. He was constantly filing things in the courts, going after the courts, um, going after the wrong people, not following court proceedings as one would think for someone who wanted to get their child back, right? And so he got in contact, involved with this group of people that he met on Facebook or something, and introduced him to sovereign citizenship
Mhm.
and encouraged him to, just keep filing, file this motion, cite this law. So he ends up in this complete rabbit hole where he is literally filing motions against local judges, police officers. It got to the point he was filing liens on people's homes, like judges' salaries, right? And he gave the Colorado courts the runaround for years doing this, and was finally arrested and is serving a 12-year prison sentence for the sovereign citizenship nonsense. But in the midst of me getting away from him, I met, which is now an ex. We were friends, and then um, I let him know of all the craziness that I was dealing with,
Mhm.
and the man that I moved there for, like I said, obviously his mind wasn't fully intact, so it was a
Mhm.
situation where I pretty much had to run away in the middle of the night type of thing. So my then friend, I moved in with him, and he had 2 other roommates, so we were all, like, the best of friends. Um, and, from there, we started dating. Um, Years down the line, got engaged, moved to Hawaii. He
Mhm.
worked for the Department of Homeland Security.
Mhm.
I got to live in Hawaii for a year. I lived on the island of Kauai, which was awesome.
Mhm.
Um, but all during this time was laced with active addiction, right? I was drinking really heavily, dabbling into drugs, um, and not taking life seriously as I
Mhm.
should, right?
Mhm.
And so at the same time we moved to Hawaii was at the top of COVID.
Mhm.
So it was literally 2020. We were in the Denver airport, um, headed to LA so we could take the flight from LA to Hawaii. I
Mhm.
get a call and I'm told, "Oh, um, you can't start work because pandemic." And we had already subleased our place, sold things, so we had no choice but to go. The only home that we had was waiting for us on that island, right?
Mhm.
So we put everything into it. And so we get there and my ex worked for Department of Homeland Security, so that he still had work, thankfully, but
Mhm.
I had nothing but time. Um, and so obviously addiction got worse because I was just at home all the time, hanging out with the wrong people, et cetera, et cetera. Even, yes, there's even that kind of trouble in Hawaii too. I
Mhm.
come back home and I moved to Atlanta. No, this was my first time actually living in the city,
Mhm.
which just also proved to be not good.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just constant access, getting involved in the wrong crowds, the party scene, and that's how I met um the the man who ended up trafficking me.
Mhm.
Um and my mental health completely had spiraled by that point,
Mhm.
obviously. Um but for some reason, whatever you may believe, whoever believes, um the gods, the goddesses, the higher powers, the powers that
Mhm.
be.
Mhm. Mhm.
There was one day I was sitting on my living room, and mind you, this is after this man had, um, forced me to do his bidding, right?
Mhm.
Sexual assault,
The
domestic
man that you were
violence,
involved with?
the one that trafficked me, mhm.
Mhm, mhm,
All of those things. I was held hostage in my own apartment.
mhm,
Like, he took car keys, sometimes he'd take my phone,
mhm,
house keys, like, just literally kept me there unless he wanted me out to do work for him, right? Um, Fed me once a day.
mm,
And there was one day I was sitting there in the living room. I remember this clear as day. He goes to the bedroom and just starts pulling his things out and going to the car. I was like, "What are you doing?" And he said something about, the guys, which means, his bosses, wanted him closer to operations, so he was moving over there. And, that Stockholm syndrome part of me instantly freaked out, that rejection, fear of abandonment kicked in, and, I went to argue, "Hey, hey, hey, stop it." I went to argue him, fight him, like, "No, no, don't go, don't go." But something told me, "Sit down. Just sit down and be still." And that's what I did. I sat back down, um, on on the couch and let him go. Let him pack all his things. He left. Um, and by that time, it had gotten really, really serious to a point where there were weapons in my apartment,
mhm,
with scratched off numbers, like,
mhm,
just
mhm,
getting very, very dark very quickly. Um, and I think it was a day or 2 days after he left, I had a suicide attempt,
mm,
and I was taken to the hospital, 1013. In Georgia, that's the, mandatory mental health hold.
mhm,
I go to the mental health hospital, the psych ward,
mhm, mhm,
and here it's a mandatory 72 hours, which is how it is in most places. I ended up being there for about a week, and, um, my family actually packed up my apartment while I was in there, sent a cab with a suitcase full of my things, and shipped me off to rehab right after psych. Like, I did not go home, did not collect 200 and pass go.
mhm, mhm,
Um, so that was the last time I set eyes on that apartment. I just one day I was there, one day I wasn't. So I went to treatment, ended up being gone a total of, I don't know, 40 something days. Then
mhm,
I did the whole, intensive outpatient IOP program, sober living. Um, but I almost didn't make it out of that, surprisingly, too. While I was in rehab, I was given a medication, to help with my mental health that turns out I had a severe allergic reaction to. And
mhm,
in part is because the psychiatrist gave me too high a dose too quickly. And this medication comes with a severe and very strong warning against that. He did it anyway. So overflooded my system with this medication. And it was September of 22, either 21 or 22, somewhere around there. Um, I was hospitalized for over 30 days, severe rash. Like, I'm talking from the tip of my head, bottom everywhere, inside my eyes,
mhm,
ears,
mm,
genitalia. It was bottoms of my feet. Everything was painful. I ended up having to be on a stairs on prednisone drip, IV drip for, like I said, over 30 days. I caught pneumonia while I was in there.
mm,
And one of the reasons I almost died is because actually a white male doctor refused to admit me. I had to go 3 different times before he would admit me, gave me a Benadryl, told me to sit in the lobby,
mm,
and I would say, "Sir, if that worked, it would have worked already," right? But that 3rd time I went back, my fever was, like, septic
mm,
high, and, my eyes were yellow, I looked like I had jaundice. Um and after they finally admit me, he comes to my bedside and apologizes to me and told me the reason why he was so hesitant to admit me was because he did not recognize the rash on black skin. He'd only ever
mm,
seen it on white skin. It wasn't enough to listen to the words that were coming out of my mouth or see the condition that I was in, right? Um, so mind you, this is still very, very early on into sobriety. And about 45, 47 days into it, I get the worst call. My best friend, Travis, like I said, I was always out partying, and I in the community, I'm queer,
Mm.
so I hang
Mhm,
out at the
mhm.
gay bars, right? That's where I
Okay.
feel safest, where I feel at
Yep.
home. There's a particular gay bar in Atlanta where they have, dancers,
Mhm,
and I met my best friend there, he was a dancer there,
mhm.
um, and when I met him, he was homeless living out of his car. I think
Yeah.
I'd been there, like, 2 or 3 times at that point, and
Mhm.
I said, "You're not homeless anymore, you're coming home with me,"
Yeah. Sure.
and, since then, we were inseparable. But when I went to treatment, he lost his home too, and that threw him right back into the streets in the world of instability, background of being gay, Southern, from a small town in Georgia. His family
Yep.
was not very receptive of him. Um, and so, like I said, about 47 days or so into sobriety, I I'm actually on the phone with one of our friends,
Mhm,
and we were just chit chatting, catching up, and
mhm,
then in the middle of the phone call, he tells me, "I'm getting word that Travis is dead." I was like, "What are you talking about?" Um, and I said, he loves to sleep. He parties hard, he sleeps, he's probably just asleep. Just give him time." He was not asleep. He had overdosed.
mhm,
Um, and it was someone that we both knew, considered a friend, if, party scene people are not your friends, but that's what it feels like in that
mhm,
time.
mhm,
Um, Travis was always self-medicating. His anxiety was terrible.
mhm,
And he didn't have insurance.
mhm,
So he was always self-medicating. He bought some Xanax like he normally would do, and he didn't party on Xanax.
mhm,
It was
mhm.
really to manage his nerves
Yep.
or attempt to. And this friend told him it was Xanax. It was not. It was actually Fentanyl.
Mm,
And he died. And I remember my friends all calling me, blowing up my phone, and I was only like 20 minutes or so away from them. And they said, "Brie, we need you. We need you, please. Like, we haven't seen you in 3 months at this point. Just can you please?" And I almost went. And then I looked up, and I looked up at my house mom and all my new sober roommates, and I made probably the hardest decision I've ever made. And I said, "I love you guys, but I can't." I didn't go to his funeral because it was still too soon for me.
mhm,
Um, and that still weighs on me. Because I was his stability, right?
mhm, mhm,
So that thought definitely still sits on my mind. Um, Ultimately, I know it's not my fault,
mhm,
but I often wonder how things would be if he didn't lose his stability. But at the same time, it's also not lost on me that we did everything together.
mhm,
So, what are the chances that I would have taken the same thing?
mhm,
Um, so after all of that, I ended up leaving, my sober living. I just needed to be with my family, moved back home with my parents, got into the property management world, ended up, becoming a leasing agent, got my own place, finished up my bachelor's, went back and got my master's in clinical mental health counseling,
mhm.
um, which I'm finishing up this year as soon as I, take my licensing exam. And I started creating content on social media January of last year. Complete accident. I went viral and it just blew up from there. Um, and now we're here running a
Mhm.
congressional race. Yeah. That is
So,
the crazy timeline of events.
yeah, well, this is why I like to do this, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm also running for Congress, and I've also got an interesting story, and I would imagine most of us do, most normies, right? Like, there's
Mm.
always something that happens, or a multitude of things that happen, an avalanche, if you will, of things that happen that then lead you down this path. And I felt like I think people want to know, like with this round of candidates, especially the progressive ones, right? They
Mhm.
want to know who these people are because I think there's a lot of us thinking and saying right now, hey, we've kind of had the wool pulled over our eyes. Like our government's lying to us, both sides, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, like they're all
Mhm.
taking the same dirty money. You
Yep.
know, I often tell people, I have two parents that are MAGA, so that's interesting. Um, but we weren't able to even talk politics at all until
Mm.
the Epstein files came out,
Mhm.
all of that.
So
And then,
growing up, you never talked about politics with your family?
I mean, we talked about it a bit, right?
Mhm.
I would say I believe back then, um, I had some good lessons, but I'm older. Like I was born in 1983, so I'm a millennial. Um, what they would say back then is vote for the person that you think would do the best job. And I do
Mhm.
think I very much come from that sort of an area, right? Like
Mhm.
heavy rural. At that time in the 80s, there were more union people. There's a lot of
Mhm.
farmers, stuff like that. And now I've watched this thing happen, right?
Mhm.
This evolution or de-evolution, whatever you want to say. But I've watched this thing play out. And, I also have autism, so I see pattern recognition really well.
Yes.
I think that's probably why I see things differently because I'm like, hold on. A plus B does not equal C here. And so there were certain things that were just glaring to me. Plus, I'm a
Yep.
humanist. And I always tell people, I have to be a progressive kind of because I'm a humanist and because I care about people.
Yeah.
Like, I would not physically be able to stand myself if I took dirty money from people, right? If I stood in places like I'm that type. Like, I grew up in the church and I've always struggled with that sort of thing. But when it comes back to like the bedrock of faith for me is
Yeah.
always like, you know what? Jesus was flipping tables. And that's
Mhm.
what I'm about. And so when it comes to all of this stuff, whether it's Epstein files, Iran, um, putting babies in cages, whatever, just pick one. I'm like, I always go back to when I was a kid because I was also
Mhm.
in Fellowship of Christian Athletes and all that. Like I was
Mm.
from that generation of the
Mhm.
what would Jesus do bracelets, right?
Yep, same.
So there's a part of my mind.
WWJD.
There you go. There's a part of my mind that kicks in with some of these things. That's like, what would Jesus do? And I'm like, that brown man from the Middle East will be the first one that would be like, no, sir. No, sir. Not today, Satan. And I just can't help myself. And, anyways, of the multitude of things, I think just that seeking of truth and being very upset that people in these positions of power that control the influence, that control the legislation, that control the
Mhm.
purse, that
Mhm.
they are purposely and maliciously lying to the American people. It also doesn't help my case. This is a good thing, but I'm saying it for the haters, right? I'm a I'm a descendant of of a soldier from the American Revolution. My
Yep.
family has been here for a long time. Like irregardless of what they think. And I still hold out hope for people because I think they've been lied to, they've been manipulated, their
Oh, yeah.
religion has been weaponized against them,
Mhm.
they've been in this propaganda machine for so long. And I can't save everybody, but I'll do my damnedest to try and help as much as I can, right?
Yes.
Um, it's social justice is kind of my shtick. And I
I
think I
mean, you're on the spectrum, so that tracks.
yeah. Yeah. And so I'm finding that out from other people that I meet
Yeah.
that are also on the spectrum. And they also, you know, that seems to be part of their shtick as well.
You know,
So
I
I've,
saw a TikTok, this guy was saying, I'm not the, genius level autistic person. I'm the anarchist, burn it down, start a revolution kind of autistic. I was like, "Yep. Yep."
I, I think there can be a merriment of these things, but this is what, so whenever RFK started
Oh,
spitting his
excuse me.
nonsense about autism, because I have 3 children that have autism, right away I was like, no bueno. So I
So what are
put
you
out a
talking
post.
about? That man's mad.
Well, I put out a post on TikTok and I had originally started all my social media because I have a nonprofit and I was like, okay, this will be a good way to promote this or
Mhm.
whatever. the goal was never to make it political, but as we find out, life is political, right? And then when all of these things started happening, then I was like, you know what? I feel that my duty as a good civilian, as a good patriot, is to tell the truth. So I started
Mhm,
telling the truth. And I could not in good conscience let him get away with that. Plus, we have a governor in my state, in the state of Indiana, that like,
mhm.
man, I'll tell you, like these guys, they're just bending down and grabbing their ankles every time that someone comes to town. It's ridiculous.
The capitulation is insane.
It's
It's like,
crazy.
eh, I mean, we're being governed by a bunch of jellyfish. Nobody has a spine.
I'll go
No
farther
one.
than that, though. I don't think it's that they don't have a spine. They know very well where their spine is placed, and it's money, right? Like they will sell their people down the river for anything. Like, right?
Which to me is still spineless.
Yes,
I would rather have no dollars at all and have my integrity.
exactly. Well,
And
and
know that, you know
so,
what? I was strong enough to say, I don't care how many zeros is behind that. Like
yeah.
there's certain things that you just should not be capitulating to, but greed. Greed will do it every time.
Greed. And so, I'm in one of those states, like Indiana has 63% farmland. So all
Yes.
these
I've
grubby
driven through it.
hands, they're looking at this land and they're like, I can't wait to get my hands on that. And we have a bunch of people right now that they couldn't care less. And of course, they're trying to sell it in whatever way possible, right?
Of course.
Whatever makes them sleep at night. But I can't. I can't be that guy. And so I'm like railing against the system. So, needless to say, I got involved in a few podcasts. I started to meet some politicians. It was never my intent to run for Congress, but because I'm an autism advocate and I was like, hell no,
Yes.
someone needs to hit the red button on these fuckers.
Mhm.
I was just like, who's going to say something? Who's going to say something? There has to be an autism advocate out there that's like, fuck you guys. No, like this is inaccurate. This is genetic. You're not going to put people in institutions. We're not going to revisit eugenics. Fuck you guys. And I just didn't see it. And they are doing so many bad things in my state
Mhm.
and around the nation that I'm like, you know what? I had this conversation with a few women that know a lot about autism in my state. And I
Mhm.
said, all roads to advocacy have to lead to government at some point because these are the people that are controlling all the things. So we can advocate as much as we want for as long as we want and fundraise and do all of the things. But ultimately, these are the people that are in control of our lives and our children's lives. So we, I think, should put someone in one of those seats. And they were like, you should do it. And I was like, say what? And I wasn't prepared for that. And I was like,
It's like, "Oh, you meant me."
sometimes I'm just I don't want to say sometimes I'm just talking because I'm very much a doer and they know that. And I'm very certain that's why they were like, you do it. Because they knew they were going to throw that ball on my lap. And I was like, right, I have to pick this up now. And I did. And I'm figuring it out along the way. Obviously, the Democratic Party, like they don't want any of us around. Like these true
No,
progressives that,
especially when we don't ask for permission, right?
oh, yeah.
That I found that was probably the biggest offense that I have committed, um, is I made the decision. I didn't consult with anyone. I just, I'm gonna run.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Because we
And,
need good
it's been
people.
hinted at. It's been hinted at, like, waiting your turn, asking for permission. I'm like, what's that for?
Well, what I would love to see, and I'm just going to say this very publicly, I'm sure I've said it in other circles, but I would love nothing more than to see a bunch of normies in the House and in the Senate. I don't care if they're like 25-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids, people that don't have any money. I want to see single moms on WIC with SNAP. Like these are the people that I want in office because these are the change makers. These are the
Mhm.
people that have struggled, have overcome adversity. I don't want to see any more
Yep.
lawyers or billionaires or millionaires or people
But
taking APAC money, whatever.
that's all that's in Congress. I think like
Yeah.
less than 6% of Congress comes from a working class background.
Mhm. And let's not even get into people of color. I'll let you cook on that for a while. Cook on it, girl.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's so complicated. Actually, the Black Caucus is the largest caucus in Congress,
Uh-huh.
65 members, 64, 65,
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
But that's still not nearly enough representation. And then you think about down south. Um, the barriers that we still have that echo, the Jim Crow era South.
Well, yeah.
Just ballot access. I was talking to one of our fellow candidates. I forget what state he's in, somewhere upstate.
Mm,
Um, and it was only a couple $100 for him to get on the ballot, and I was like,
mhm.
"Oh, that's cute. Huh, that that's cute."
See, I will give my
So
state this. I did not have to pay to be on the ballot. So
yeah,
that
I
was
had to
cool.
pay $5,220 to the Democratic Party of Georgia. Um, of course, the alternative is to collect signatures.
Mm,
However, comma, however, comma,
mhm.
um, it is what 5% of the voter roll, pretty much, is kind of the role here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and in a small district, sure, no big deal. However, the district I'm running in has a total of 22 counties, and the voter roll is over 500,000. So
Mhm,
I would have to collect somewhere, the number would be like 25,000. So I would have to collect probably more like 35,000 because, they
mhm,
throw out a significant amount, and I would only have like 180 days to do it. That's not realistic.
mhm,
So
mhm,
you're funneled, right? They force you, put you in a chokehold almost to pay this $5,220.
mhm.
And if you can't come up with it, you're not getting on that ballot. If you can't come up with the signatures, you're not getting on that ballot. And
It seems very anti-democratic, doesn't it?
poquito, just a
Yeah,
little bit. And
yeah.
it just gets worse the further down you go in Florida. It's $10,440 to put your name on a ballot.
That's
It's
crazy.
so here it's 5% of the congressional salary. In Florida, it's 10% of the congressional salary. And these
Mhm,
are all barriers. And who do they affect the most? Poor people, people of color, right? Like, and it's done on purpose. And,
mhm,
we talk about so much money out of politics, money out of politics. We need to start with ballot access because
mhm,
people aren't
mhm,
people don't pay attention to that. Um, the reason we don't have representation is because people can't even get their foot in the door because it
mhm.
costs 5,000 damn dollars to walk in the in the door, right?
Yeah.
$5,000 and not even guaranteed position. That's a huge toss up.
Mhm,
It's a $5,000 toss up. Not to
mhm,
mention all the other things, you know.
mhm. Yeah, I find it interesting. And, even just in precincts and stuff like that, right? Like, we've got a lot of stuff going on in Indiana. And as my one friend often tells me, things change when you find out how the sausage is made. And now that I'm in this and I'm like, "Oh, so
Mhm.
you're all dirty. So you're all
Mhm.
taking the money. So
Mhm.
none of you want the progressives around." Like, and even
No.
like, it doesn't matter, Democratic Party, Republican Party. Like, I've spoken to Republicans too that are having similar sort of problems, right? They're like, "Listen, we don't want you in there. We're going to make your life hard. We're going to like not allow you to be a part of the Republican Party, so therefore you can't run on that ticket."
I'm gonna go grab something. I'll be right back because I have a point about this, and it's it's due to exactly what you're talking about. The true progressives.
Mhm.
Uh, there is a mutual that I have on TikTok. She holds political lives,
Mhm.
large ones. She gets hundreds of people in a room. One night, she
Uh-huh.
pulls me up on the panel with about 300 people,
Mhm.
and she's asking me how the race is going. It starts off really well.
Mhm.
And then I quickly start to see where it's going.
Mm.
They're older, people of color, very
Okay.
establishment Democrat
Okay.
type. And so you're familiar with my Where's Congress ad. This one,
Mhm.
just where's Congress? Valid fucking question.
Mhm.
She, the host, she takes up a huge issue and starts a complete thing. I don't like that ad because it makes it seem like you're asking about where is all of Congress, and there are Democrats doing their job. I said what I said. Where is Congress? Because half the shit that we're in, we wouldn't be in if Congress, Democrats included, were stepping the fuck up.
Mm.
And so I realized, so this is the line between what an actual progressive is and what old establishment Democrat. Like, I'm not standing behind someone just because they're a Democrat.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you're part of the old guard, you're part of the old guard and part of the problem.
Mhm.
Point blank period. Like,
Well, that's why I get really irritated by this whole like vote blue no matter who, because
No.
in in theory though, I do understand. So for the laymen, right, that are not into the politics,
Mhm.
that does sound good on paper until you
On
figure
paper.
out how the sausage is made. And then you
Mhm.
see that, oh, the Democratic Party in each state, most likely, I'll just speak for mine, they're picking these candidates, right? So they're essentially presenting these candidates to you. And
Mhm.
they are then endorsing them and saying, here is our pick. But they're
And they're
not doing that.
also they're moderate, they're center of the road,
Yep.
which is more right than it is left. Like,
It's Republican light.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's about the
And
nicest way I can put it.
and that's, on my side of the ballot, that's what a lot of it is. Like, I would venture to say I'm the only actual progressive on that ballot.
So let me ask you this then. What does progressive mean to you? Because I know it can mean different things to other people, and that's fine. I'm curious what you think progressive means.
That's a good question. Not what we have going on right now for sure.
Mm,
But I think if I had to frame it for myself, it's obviously a left-leaning, Democrat leaning person,
hmm
but
hmm
I'm trying not to be rude.
No, be
But
rude.
honest
It's
to
fine.
God,
Tell the truth.
with backbone.
Mm,
There is so much bullshit about being politically correct.
hmm
There is so
hmm
much bullshit. Oh, but they won't like that, or we have to be middle of the. No, 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 no. There is not enough firmness that I see in the
hmm
Democratic Party right now.
hmm hmm
Um, the right is willing to say the things and do the things. So I think for me, what a progressive looks like is obviously the same left values
hmm
and wants and desires and beliefs, right? But with some actual oomph behind it.
hmm
Where are the demands? Where's the firmness?
hmm
Where's the willingness to say fuck you? Like, where is
hmm
it? And it's just, if we had like 100 more Jasmine Crockett's, we might be okay.
So I have
And
lots of opinions.
even with Miss Crockett, a lot is done.
Sure.
I find her to be a little too middle of the road,
hmm
but I love her feistiness. So if we could
hmm
take that feistiness and that willingness to actually be verbal
hmm
and do something, but because it drives me insane. Like, we have got to get away from this purity politics, which is also a huge issue with the Democratic Party. This purity politics. It's like,
But see, people roll with that in different ways too, right?
yeah.
Because you can, like, I've heard that a lot in Indiana too, right? Like, oh, let's not make it about purity politics. And I'm like, I guess part of what I think a progressive is progressives are telling the truth and they're bringing dignity back to politics.
Hmm. I like that.
So this is where progressives, for example, are, I believe, we are the ones that should be in there because whenever it comes to negotiations, for example,
Hmm.
you will never be able to have a negotiation with someone that does not see you as strong to start with. You have to have a baseline, right? Because if they don't think that you have morals, even if they disagree with your
Hmm.
morals, that's okay, right? But they have to know that you have a line
Like, you're
before they
about
will.
something.
Yes, before they'll even be willing to have a conversation with you. And
Hmm.
this is why I find that Massey Kana situation so interesting, right?
Hmm.
Because, like, props to them, right? Like, you can come together on an issue that's important. Every single, like, House member and senator should do that, right? Like, this is about the American people. This is the American people's money. What do the American
Hmm.
people want? And I find it so just obscene and ridiculous that they will scoot around issues. Like, I just saw an interview with Cory Booker the other day, which I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. And yeah, we should be calling out these people because, and I'm not just going to say him, right? Pick one. But it's like,
Yeah.
we Democrats, right? You
I like
struggle
your air quotes.
You struggle to say the word genocide. Like, you don't want to say APAC. You don't want to say genocide. You don't want to make it very clear that, like, hey, now I have new information and now I will no longer be involved in this because you are taking my constituents' money and they don't agree with this war or they don't agree with what you're doing.
Mhm.
Maybe they didn't understand it at the beginning, but now we have new information. And now it is my obligation as someone that they put forth to represent them to speak for them. And they are saying no. And rather,
Right.
here's where APAC and J Street and all of them come in and they're like, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Because we've got a
Mhm.
list. We've got a list
Mhm.
on you. And if you ever go against us, we will burn your village to the ground. And I'm one of those. This is where the anarchy comes in, right? Because before I
Burn
even
it.
stepped into the ring, I'm like, right, I have to be prepared to be as transparent as I possibly can be because that's what I want to see in these candidates.
Mhm.
If I am going to step into the arena, then I'm going to do this for real. And I left my social media open. Like all of my
Mhm.
stuff is open. And I actually think that's a good thing. So I would want
Oh,
to
I tell
see.
people all the time, like, if you wanna see a digital footprint of me, I'm a
Mhm.
content creator.
Go look.
You can go look a year and a half back. I'm around. And,
Yeah.
I didn't
And
purge things, I
yes.
just left it.
And
I am
so
what I am.
we have a Secretary of State candidate right now that
Mm,
had taken money from someone that's associated with the Epstein files. And the Democratic Party
yikes.
is bringing him forth.
Yeah.
And there's the progressives, right? I'm not saying every single progressive. I'm not going to speak for everyone. I'm not going to be that person. But what I will say is it's the progressives that are pissed.
Mhm.
And they're just like, hold on. Like, this is not democratic. Like, same with in these elections, right? If you have 3 or 4 candidates, it's anti democratic to pick one, right? Like, just let them have it out. Let it be the Hunger Games. Let them
You know
figure it
what?
out.
That is so funny that you bring that exact thing up. That is so interesting. So when I first entered the race, I had just recently made acquaintance with a woman at the Young Democrats of Georgia convention.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I texted her. I was like, I
mm-hmm,
think I'm gonna put my name on the ballot.
mm,
And she gave me some pushback. And then I was like, why is she giving me pushback? Why is she being funny about this?
mm-hmm,
Then she
mm-hmm,
sends me those long texts,
mm-hmm.
and she is the campaign manager of one of the other ladies on the
Oh,
ballot. I was like, oh. And so she's encouraging me not to run.
interesting.
I'm like, and then I literally made the point, is it the point of democracy so people can have a choice? So
Mm-hmm.
why not give the people options and a
Give the
choice?
people what they want.
Like, if this is what democracy is actually all about, what's the issue? What's the problem, babes? And that that's the first time it clicked in me. Oh, I'm a threat.
Mm,
Oh, shortly after that, I got invited to lunch by a small local PAC. They
mm-hmm.
work with state level candidates.
Okay.
And so I don't really know why I was a little confused anyway, but I was hopeful. It's like, okay, well, maybe this could end up in some funding, guidance, something, something.
Yeah.
The first thing that is said to me when we meet at this cafe is, don't worry about paying for lunch. I got it. I know you're a poor young person. Ooh, ooh. I was like, and yes, it was an old white woman.
Mm.
Needless to say.
Old white Southern woman.
Correct.
Let's make that distinction.
Because who the hell else would say something as crazy as that? Right. And I was just like, ha ha ha. So we go and sit down, we're chatting, and she says, so how committed are you to your race? You seem pretty serious. Yeah. And she goes, oh, that's a shame. I was hoping I could get you here to convince you not to run.
Mm,
I'm like, oh, why would you think that? Um, and so, obviously by then it's so tense. Like it's so tense. And we get to a point in the conversation and I could tell she gets frustrated because it wasn't
mm,
going how she wanted it to go. And she goes, it just seems, and the one of the main competitors and really the Democratic Party's pick, Soretta Smith.
uh-huh.
Um, she goes, it just seems silly to put Soretta through a primary.
Oh, so she doesn't have to work for it.
I promptly got up from the table at that point. It's like, that was insane. And then I've been blind copied in on emails that were directed towards me that you obviously were very direct. And I'm like, why am I being blind copied in on things that are, circumventedly about me? Like
Mm.
it has been a doozy. It's been a doozy. And my thing is, like you said, just let us run, right? Like,
Well, and here's the thing too. There's been some stuff going around that, man, I don't even know how to address some of this stuff. Like, there have been like costume suggestions, right? Like, this is how you act, this is how you
mhm,
dress, this is how you wear
mhm,
your hair, um,
mhm.
body jewelry. If you are offensive to
Oh, the grief
someone,
about the nose ring. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I'm kind of like this. I would tell you this. A, I come from steel workers and farmers that absolutely take no shit. And this
Mhm,
area of the state, which is very rural,
mhm,
I don't think it really matters whether you talk to a Republican, Democrat, or whatever, what have you. They they don't really have any time for you if you're not authentic. Like, they
mhm.
may not agree with everything that you have to say, but they will at least give you respect for standing on business, right?
Absolutely.
And I am very
And it's
much
it's
that
very much the
person.
same. It's very much the same in these areas too. When I first got started, people were giving me advice.
Mhm.
I hesitate to even call it advice because I didn't ask
Yeah.
for it, right? Like I didn't ask you for any of this, but it was like, "Are you gonna cover your tattoos?" It was I have this is Nefertiti, King Tut over here. "Oh, are you gonna put in a smaller nose ring or you take it out? You just keep your hair blonde?"
Well,
All of
you
the
know what I
above.
find really interesting about this
Hmm.
is if the Democratic Party is supposed to be the progressive party, meanwhile, when the other side is trying to put us back in the kitchen, for example,
Mhm. Actively,
for example,
actively and aggressively.
doesn't it send the wrong optics and message that if we are supposed to be the party of the people, the working class, the females, the LGBT, the blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, that then we would be doing the same shit that the Republicans are doing? Hence, Republican light. So, why are you running to the center when you should be running to the left?
Correct. Correct,
And I,
because
I
this is that
literally,
whole and that falls under that purity politics umbrella where you have to look like a politician, be politically correct. You have to like no. If you
but
are policing anyone's appearance really, but especially a woman's appearance,
Mhm.
you have to ask yourself, what party do you sound like?
Well, and I will say this. This is my take as a female, and I often split it sometimes like this when I talk to people, like, maybe here's my opinion as a Hoosier and a voter versus a
Mhm,
candidate, for example.
mhm.
My opinion as a Hoosier and a voter is normally stronger,
Excuse me.
honestly. It's a little bit more, like, spicy
Yeah, yeah.
because for me, I'm like, "You know, how am I gonna trust you to go to Congress and stand on business if you're gonna take your nose ring out because someone from the Democratic Party told you to? If you're a
Exactly.
female if you're a female, and right now I have a daughter and I have nieces,
Oh.
and I'm trying to teach my daughter's young, right? But I'm just saying, like,
What kind of an example does that set, right?
we as women right now with the things that are at stake,
Mhm,
we should be teaching these girls, like, no, it's Thunderdome. Take their ass out. Like, don't you ever let someone tell you to take your nose ring out, cover up your
mhm,
tattoos or whatever, because that's what makes you different.
mhm,
If you committed to that choice as an adult and
mhm.
that's how you roll, that's part of your authenticity. Don't you
Yep.
dare let anyone tell you, don't let a man tell you, and
Mhm,
certainly don't let another female tell you, oh, hey, this is what it means to be female. This is what it means to be soft or demure or whatever.
mhm,
What the fuck are we playing at here? Because if we're trying to save these girls, right?
mhm.
Because that's how I see it. That's part of the reason I entered the race because I'm like, I'll be goddamned. You're not going to be running up in here playing Handmaid's Tale over here.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely not.
no, no,
No.
no, sir, no, ma'am, whatever. So, these people right now that are these white bread candidates that like can't even say genocide, right? Like you see it, everybody's got eyeballs, the whole world knows what's going on right now,
We
but
see it.
you can't commit to that, right?
Mhm,
So if you can't even commit to something that's far away, that's
mhm.
untouchable, if you will, right? Like the
Right.
likelihood of some of these people actually going to Palestine and seeing the carnage, for example, like, you know how people are about being removed from things.
Mhm,
So you're certainly going to remove yourself from what's happening to the Hispanic community, what's happening to these girls in these butterfly sections of Dili, for example, these
mhm.
girls that are came in not pregnant but are now pregnant. What
Yeah.
the fuck? What
Suddenly,
the fuck are we
magically,
talking about here?
literally,
So
literally.
these women that want to run for office, you better stand on business. I better see a warrior or I'm not fucking voting for you. And I don't give
Mhm.
a damn if you're, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or whatever. Like, I need to see a warrior in you because the times ahead are going to be shitty.
Yeah.
And these milk
It's
toast
gonna be a bumpy
candidates,
ass ride.
I'm telling you, I want to see a bunch of people like I need to listen to your soundtrack. I need to know your morning, like what's your morning jam? When you get in the car, what do you listen to? It better be fucking Eminem or something like that, or I'm not taking you seriously. I'm just saying. What's your soundtrack? Literally.
Honestly, it depends on the day. It depends on the day.
You know
And
what I mean, though.
oh yeah, absolutely.
All
But
right. So what's your
typically
angry
it's something
track?
like my angry track, calm
I'm
like a
gonna look at
bomb,
mine right now. I'm gonna look it
calm
up.
like a bomb.
Calm like a bomb. Mine's gonna be
Mhm.
different than yours. Hold on. I'm gonna find out the most recent song that I played here.
Or Smack a Bitch by Rico Nasty.
That's funny.
Dead Men Don't Rape is a good one.
Okay. All right. See, and here I'm asking this question and then I'm scrolling to see what was the one that I clicked the last? Let's see. Oh, Papa Roach Swerve. Just
It's
saying.
so funny.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I need to see some content here. Like I don't care what, but I want to know, who are you as a person? Can I
Yeah.
trust you? Can I trust you with my daughter? Can I trust you with my nieces? If I'm
Yeah.
putting you in to fight the bear, I got to know you're prepared. You
Yeah.
need to be 10 toes down every time,
Always.
all day
Yeah.
every day.
Yep. Hey,
You
well,
know?
you ain't got to get ready if you stay ready, right?
I'm just saying. But you know what I mean? Like, there were people
Yeah.
back in the day that were excited about Fetterman, for example, right? Like, hey, it's cool, he's wearing a hoodie. And then Fetterman flopped, and it's like, dude, you sold out. But, like, if I legitimately saw, I don't know, some 28, 25, 29-year-old that's like rocking a hoodie, but is actually walking the walk and standing on business,
Yeah.
preach, do it,
Yeah.
do it all the time. Like, that's
Yeah.
what I want to see. That is a true reflection of the American public right now.
Mhm.
I don't want to see millionaires and billionaires and people sucking up to Elon Musk.
Because look,
Fuck him.
if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if we're
Exactly.
consistently doing the same thing over and over and nothing changes, what's that? Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Yes. But it's also, I think this is why I find these conversations really interesting with candidates, right? Because we come from all walks of life. We have
Mhm.
our origin stories are different, right?
Mhm.
But the message from the normies is generally the same. Something happened in our lives that was an accumulation of things, that we were an advocate in some sense, and that eventually led us down this path because we had had enough. Versus the Democratic, or for argument's sake, Republican candidates too, right? That like, oh no, I inherited this company. I grew up in a mansion. We had
Mhm.
staff. Like, we went to the country club. Like, my
Mhm.
parents, like, I know some people, normal people too, right? Like, you can have a membership to a golf course. I'm not trying to make it
Mhm.
like that, but you know where I'm going with this.
Mhm.
If your family has like 3 or 4 mansions in different states and then you run for office versus, hey, my dad was a postal worker or a steel worker or drove a
Yep.
truck.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, I was rambling
Yeah.
off there for a while. So, um
I love your rambling
Damn.
off.
Damn, I'm so fucking angry about these people. And then the more and more that they're like, it's like they don't, I mean, I get it, our news sucks and they're lying to us and they're not telling us anything that's the truth.
Oh yeah.
But most people have access to social media. Most
Yeah.
people have, even the older people that I know, they
Mhm.
know how to get onto YouTube, right? It might not be
Yeah.
perfect, but it's something. You can Google stuff now. Like, you can ask Claude.
We walk around with supercomputers.
You can ask Claude, tell me what's happening in Iran right now.
Mhm.
Like, how many kids died? How many schools did they blow up? Like, how many amputees do we have? Like, these are things any layman can just ask Claude, for example, and have a conversation with him about it. And right now, to have the Democratic Party, that's the party of the people,
Uh-huh.
purposely sway from that language of truth has hit me on a guttural level that I'm like, how could I ever believe you guys if you are the ones that are supposed to be of the people?
Mhm.
Like, what
You
are
know,
you selling here?
we're in the age of anti-intellectualism. Like,
It's
you know,
crazy.
um I like to stay sharp, and surprisingly enough, one of the best ways to stay politically aware and involved, live spaces on TikTok. People are constantly talking and debating,
Mhm, mhm,
and the amount of times I have run into people who are on the right who just
mhm,
refuse to just look up something.
mhm,
You give them a source and the goalpost moves. Oh, well, they're a left leaning. There's something, and it's like the amount of pushback that is just on simple facts and the way things are. It's like I know it might be uncomfortable. It might not be what you want to hear, but
mhm,
a
mhm,
fact is a fact, and research is just research. Like
mhm,
recently, I posted a video. This one was on Instagram, and I was
mhm.
talking about birthright citizenship and how
Yep.
it comes from Dred Scott and all these things.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
an older white dude comments and goes, "Not everything is about you."
I got one for you. I got an equally
I commented back. I said, "You have to be a special kind of dumb to hear an actual fact about our country and its laws and think I'm making it about me. Like, go to hell. Go to hell."
I got one for you. Speaking of
What you
just
got?
ridiculousness. I was on social media the other day and I saw someone talking about immigrants saying, well, I'm assuming it was a he.
Mhm.
I am an immigrant and even the Native Americans weren't here. And I was like, oh, Jesus. And so then I had to correct him, obviously. And I
Who
was
was
like,
here then?
so I said, well, I think the Blackfoot Confederacy would disagree with you because in 2023, they found evidence that they have been here for at least 18,000 years. And I was like, the magnitude of the stupid that all you have to do is just Google something is obscene.
Y- I it is so beyond me. I just in real time people's unwillingness to just learn. And I tell people all the time, I don't want you to believe me.
Yeah, find
Please,
out
by
for
all
yourself.
means, go research it. By all means, for the love of God, go educate yourselves. But it's, you know, if they stay in their bubble of, well, Trump said this, so it's right. I learned this on True Social. This is where I want to stay. It's safe and it's comfortable here, as long as they're in that bubble of safety.
Mm.
But as soon as you start poking holes through that logic, it's like hands and fingers in the ear, la 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 la. It's just the anti-intellectualism blows my mind as someone who takes reading and learning so seriously, because I understand that I that's how I can look at the Democratic side and hold criticism. I can
Mhm,
look at
mhm,
the right and hold criticism.
mhm.
And it's because I am willing to learn and read and assess and discern for myself. Like
That
I'm
is your
not just
civic duty
following.
as an American citizen.
Yes.
Is to
Yes.
push back. And I was not having an
We're their
argument.
bosses. If
Yes.
we're their bosses, and if we can't, we should be able to call our employees in our office and say, "Hey, you ain't doing this right."
I think that's part of the problem, right? And I've commented on this several times. These people feel they're above the American people. And that is
Mhm.
problematic on many levels.
And we
But
also treat our politicians like they are too. We pedestal them.
mhm, mhm. Like they don't feel that. And I found this out pretty early on. I was not intending to call people out, but
It
as
happens.
as it happens. So
It happens.
I'm just not that motherfucker. I'll tell you right now. Like
If you got some
especially
shit to
when it
say it.
especially when it comes to autism.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
mm-mm. So I tried to make an ally out of a state house member
Mhm,
because he's a disabled veteran.
mhm.
And I was like, you know what? That seems like a natural ally. I didn't care. He was Republican, whatever. Like, you're supposed to, like, you're over all of us, right? So let's talk. Took him to my kid's school, the whole shebang. And I have a child that we're kind of figuring it out,
Uh-huh.
but I wouldn't be shocked if he were trans. He's
Okay.
small, right? But he'll say things like, "Mommy, I'm a girl." And I'm like, "Okay." Wants to wear dresses and stuff like that. Whatever, no big deal. Um, and like other things, right? Like I read, so
Uh-huh.
I know where there's one, there's many. Like if you have one gay person in your family, the likelihood of having more is more. Same with autism, stuff like that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's just a thing, sort of like if you inherit heart disease from someone, the likelihood of having it in
'Cause
your family,
'cause science.
because science. Yes, science. There's that thing.
There's
But,
that imaginary thing.
Jesus, I know. But, so my son comes out where I think he was wearing like a rainbow tutu or whatever. I don't know.
Mhm.
He was wearing whatever. And I had not heard back from him since. And I thought, you know what? We're grown ups here. We're grown ups here. And we're trying to advocate for something. And all of us as grown ups should be advocating for children.
Yeah.
Flash forward. I was also in one of these chats where, recently there was an order that came down in Colorado talking about trans issues and
Mhm.
therapy and whatnot. And that just struck a chord with me too, because I was like, you know what? Like, my aunts were nurses. My aunt was a nurse in the VA. Like,
Mhm.
when you take the medical oath, it is to do no harm.
Right.
And I just feel strongly about people that are in medical type positions. That should come first. Like your freedom
Mhm.
of speech for whatever
Without a
you
doubt.
think should come second to your obligation of helping said person. Your obligation
100%.
is not to tell that person what you think. You're
Mhm.
supposed to help them.
Yeah.
And these type of things that are
That's the same mandate, we take as therapists.
yeah,
It's to do no harm.
yeah. And I just find these things very disgusting and I see them for what they are and I see them as calculated. Circling back to the humanist part of things, right? It's like
Mhm.
you can't be a humanist and not care about all people. So it makes sense that I would care about a little Palestinian kid that's getting their legs blown off or a little Hispanic girl that's in a
that shouldn't
cage.
be that shouldn't be radical or extreme. Like, the amount of times that I've heard people try to defend what's going on in Palestine and saying that children shouldn't get blown up
Mm,
is it shouldn't be, "Oh my gosh, you're just such a leftist." Like, "Are you okay?"
yeah, you need a therapist.
Expeditiously.
But then again, and here's where knowledge comes in, critical thinking.
That imaginary thing, there's those imaginary things again.
I often start off with things like, I like to read.
I love to read.
I like it. Like
See
I was
see
told,
see see
yeah,
all
I was told early on, you will be learning your whole life, and this is true.
Yes,
Um,
if you
this
do it
is
right.
where, yes, this is where I think it's really important to delve into American history, right? And
Mhm,
if we really want to do the work and we really want to change these things, I know a decent amount about Native American history,
mhm.
and I would never claim to be an expert. I know enough to call bullshit when I see bullshit, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And once again, use Google or Claude as your friend and start to dig into what we did in the US with the Native American community, with the African American community. There are books out there, the ones that aren't burnt yet, that talk
Yet.
about these things and would give you insight into colonialism and imperialism and
Yep.
why there's
The
this
information is
separation.
there.
Why there's this separation, and then you at least can hit your bedrock of, oh shit,
Yep.
we did this here. This was very bad.
Mhm.
And then other people, other places, not to say that maybe they would not have come to their own conclusion, but they had this knowledge of what we did here. And then flash forward, and then other genocides around the world.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. And I just feel
Nope, it
like
doesn't.
we need to have these conversations, and the only
Yeah.
ones having it are progressives. We're like, listen,
Yeah.
hold the phone. We need to be the grown-ups in the room. We
Mhm.
need to have these conversations and say, okay, you know what? Like, our bad. Maybe we should have known more, but now we have the opportunity to do something. This has
Mhm.
gotten far out of hand. Someone needs to be the adult in the room. The adults that want to play Battleship need to fucking stop it already. I mean, that's the nicest way we can put this. Goddamn, like just
This is not a fucking Call of Duty.
fuck. I mean, and
Like,
if you come from a military family, like I have several cousins, family members that served. Almost every single person that I know that was in combat, they say it's bad, right? They say it's bad. Most of them come back with
my
PTSD.
eyes are angry again. I'm here.
Oh, it's all right. But like, and I guess this is why I advocate for the military as much as I do too, because
Oh,
these other
absolutely.
people that aren't sending their sons and daughters that wouldn't be they would not be willing to go themselves. They come to
Oh,
places like mine.
I got so much flack for that recently. This woman commented on one of my
Mm,
videos and said Trump is making America safe for our children and grandchildren. And I said, okay, so you go over there and you fight his war for him.
mm,
If that's genuinely how you feel,
yeah.
all of y'all go over there and fight his war for him. And so many people were offended. It's like,
Mm.
why are you getting offended with what I said? You should be hopping in the car to go to your recruiter's office.
Well, I would tell you this. I feel strongly about this. I think every sitting congressman should be willing, able, and ready to go into combat. Like, I don't think you should be sitting in that seat if you're not willing to go. And your kids should go too. Now, obviously, we might have to make some stipulations here or there. Like, we can't just make it a blanket term, and I get that, right? Like, but you at least you need to have some skin in the game. Like, you need to understand, oh shit, like if we vote for this war, I'm going to go first.
Mhm.
Like, do I feel that strongly? Like, would I send my own kids? And the reason that they so easily vote yes is because they're not. And I think the American public need to be aware of that, right? Because places like Indiana, for example, this is where they come to get these kids. Like, the only way you're getting out of here is unless you get like a really good scholarship or you join the military, and then
Yep.
that's your money to go to
It's a
school.
trap.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they
I
catch
mean,
them when they're young and stupid.
recruiters go into, high poverty areas, rural areas where kids already feel like they don't have
Yep.
a choice. They say, oh, you get to see the world and you do this, see
Hmm.
that, you
Hmm.
get
Hmm.
paid. And yep.
Now, I also want to say this because I don't want to be this person, right? Like, I do think plenty of people also join up for like their own patriotic
Oh,
reasons, right?
yeah, absolutely.
But here's the important part. There are people in office right now that these people don't care about that, and they will exploit that, and they're okay with these people dying.
Yeah.
And I was always taught that if you were in a position of leadership, especially in the military, like these are the people that they have earned your respect because they've generally they've risen through the ranks. They've done the work, right?
Hmm.
Like they have the knowledge base. This is
Hmm.
why I was so disgusted when they started gutting the military of everybody that knew anything, because I'm like, this is a bad sign. Because when we do go to war, ever, you need those people. These
Oh,
are the
yeah.
people preventing war, right? Because they have that
Mhm.
experience and they're like, right,
But this is
here's the
what happens
checklist.
when also our leaders are engaged in anti-intellectualism.
Yes.
This is what
Yes.
happens. This is the outcome.
Well, and I guess this is why I'm blowing the horn so hard, right? Because I'm like, you know what? You people, you are being irresponsible. You're being irresponsible with people. You're lying to people.
Mhm.
Like, people legitimately are putting their faith in you because you told them to. You sold them something and you're not following
Mhm.
through on it. So
Correct.
in a way,
I want my refund.
and I think, it probably does help for me to have that insight because I'm from a really red area, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
these are people I grew up with, right? And I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater because ultimately at the end of the day, I can see the forest for the trees, right? Like, I see those people don't care about all of us.
Mhm.
And I guess ultimately that's why I jumped in the race, right? Because I'm like, you know what? There are plenty of people out there that don't care, but I actually do. And we need people like that.
Mhm. I had a very similar thought process. The woman who called ice on the Hyundai plant is running on the Republican side.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, and Per that situation was not the only catalyst, but it definitely was, and I
mhm,
had the thought, like, if she could make an impact with such negativity and vitriol and hatefulness, what kind of an impact could I make as someone with a genuine heart
mhm,
and really
mhm.
meaning the things that I say?
But yeah,
I actually care, you know? I
yeah.
actually care.
Well, and I think people often, and rightfully so, right? Like, they're asking those of us probably running, like, what would you do different? And how can we know that you won't be bought? How can we know that you won't take that money and that once you get to Washington, that you won't be bent to their will?
Mhm,
And this is where the money conversation comes, right? Because more of us that are saying, take money out of politics. Like, that's how you do it.
mhm,
Send normal people, like, just gut it all. Make these people public servants again, because that was the whole intention.
yep.
Like, that's why they have to overturn Citizens United and all of that, because things got out of hand. And how can
Way out
you
of hand.
be how can you be objective realistically, right? If you're taking hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars from these corporations, of course you're going to be beholden to them. You're no longer beholden to the American people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have more thoughts on that? I know I was just cooking there for a while.
No, I mean, it's just exactly what you said, just the money is everybody's bought, it seems like, and I I I frame everything in, like, a clinical mindset.
That's
There
all right.
is, you know, in human growth and development, a theorist pretty much has, um he has an idea that most people don't actually reach their full level of potential,
Uh-huh.
um, because we ultimately lack the capability of achieving that level of pureness.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
that just had me thinking, like, I'm sure there are some people who can accept massive amounts of money and do the right thing,
mm,
but that percentage is so, so few
mhm,
that it's innocuous. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So it's just like, yeah, I everybody deserves to make a living. We have to make a living. We live in
Sure.
capitalist, consumerist America.
Yeah.
But the congressional salary is $174,000 a year. Each
It's a lot of money.
office gets yeah, and each office gets a budget of over $1 million to, pay their staffers and organize
You can
and
make a
shift
lot
things
of
how they will.
change with that.
Mhm.
Well, you know what I said? This will tell you how I roll.
What's up?
On one of these earlier interviews, and I think the guy interviewing me was, like, gobsmacked that I actually said it, but I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna give 30% of my salary back to my district if I get in." And he's like, "But I
So to
meant
what?
it. I meant it because I see what's happened to Indiana, right?
Mhm.
And, like, my kids are some of these kids that are gonna suffer. My nieces and nephews are gonna suffer." And I thought to myself, just the base salary alone, I've never made that kind of money. I'm used to being poor. What good could you do with that, right?
Mhm.
Like, the level of good that could
Or
be
it's like,
done.
or keep your salary and that huge budget that every office gets. Instead of having a million staffers do a million things, hire
Mhm.
a handful of staffers who are really good at their job and use some of that budget to go back into the district.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
do something. Do
I'm not
something.
s
You
yeah,
know
right,
what I
like,
mean? Like, do something.
I'm not saying, right, that there's, like, any specific calculation for how it should be
Right.
done, but
But just, like, do something.
I do think that we need people like that, right? Because these
Yeah.
people, they just go to Washington, they take their money plus some. They never give back to their community. They just take,
Yeah.
take, take. And I want to see people that give back.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I said that. And I meant it. And I've now said it twice, so I mean it. But I'm like, I want to make sure that these people that are getting into those positions that they actually care. Like, are you just lip service or are you a
Mhm.
doer? Like, I
Mhm.
want doers and I mean, I want doers all over, but especially in Washington because
Oh, yeah.
these are our forward facing people.
Mhm.
For people that think that international issues don't matter, they are fooling themselves. We need people in those seats
Oh my gosh, the
that,
amount of people that I talk to online that are just like, "We just need to focus on America and only America." I'm like, "Okay, we can eh, prioritize obviously our home base and take care of the people here. That's what's needed. But to think that international things don't affect us, globalization
yeah.
isn't a thing is naive. It's just naive.
I mean, I used to be a
Especially when
flight.
when we don't produce things here. Like we
Yeah.
just consume them. We don't make a whole lot, you know.
Well, I used to be a flight attendant for 17 years. And I
Oh,
think
nice.
I come to the table with a different perspective, right? Like I'm one of
Mhm.
those, there's a reason why they don't allow flight attendants and flight crew to participate in like the amazing race and shit like that. Because you could drop us into the jungle and we'd figure it out. For sure. And I've had a lot of life experience and I've now had the opportunity to go abroad and see how
Mhm.
things work. So
Mhm.
I know it can be replicated.
Oh yeah.
Maybe the cocktail would be slightly different,
Mhm.
but I've
It can be
literally
done.
seen things work. Like the type
Mhm.
of things that progressives talk about, for example. I've seen these things work and they work
Yeah.
successfully.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that it has to be exactly the same as any other country, but it can happen.
But the
And
thing
we
is
have the funds.
to act like it can't be done is what the issue is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just think, wouldn't it be really amazing to have a very diverse Congress that actually
Mhm.
represented the American public, that were worldly, or at least had the interest of? That
Correct.
we could send delegations once we figure out this shit show, right? And be like, right, like we have this delegation that is concerned with agriculture that we're going to go and visit five of these countries because they're doing XYZ and we want to learn from them. Same with education or whatever. We need people in these positions that are willing to learn. And
Mhm.
right now we have all of these just, you know,
Yep.
I don't even know. I don't have a nice word right now, so I'm just gonna
I
abstain.
I I'm following you. I'm following
Like,
you, trust me.
the mental gymnastics sometimes that I have to do to just be pleasant, I'm just like, ugh.
I know. Trust me. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, but,
I
yeah,
get
I mean,
it.
we need to bring morality back,
Yeah.
some sort of ethics. I mean, the people there, eh, I will give Trump this. He did show us. He showed us what he was gonna do. He showed us what he was capable of. He showed
Oh,
us the worst of us, right? Like, none of these things are shocking, but
no.
I've I've
They're right
heard
on brand.
yeah, but I've heard, I was having a conversation with some of my international friends the other day,
Uh-huh.
and I said, "You know, the thing about America is this. We're so big and
Mhm.
we're full of so many different types of people. It
Mhm.
takes some time for, news to spread,
Mhm.
and, people kind of need to simmer in their sauce for a bit.
Mhm.
But ultimately, the only way we learn is through pain." It's just always
100%.
been that way. It's always
Mhm.
been that way, and it doesn't
Well,
matter whether it was
I think that boils down to a general lack of empathy that is
yeah,
shared across this country. Like, me personally, I don't have to put my hand on the stove to know it's
right,
hot and it'll burn me,
right.
right? But like I said, there is a overall lack of empathy, and let's not mince words, it's coming from white people.
Mm,
That like because black people, people of color, we've experienced very similar types of traumas and pains in this country. We are aware of it.
mm, mm,
But there's a reason that the response to Renee Good was so violent. There's a reason
mm.
the response
Yeah.
to Alex Preddy was so shocking, right? It was
Mhm,
so
mhm.
white people's nervous systems are not used to this.
Yeah.
But mine is. I've been seeing people who look like me be brutalized since I was a kid, right? Through
Mhm,
through my own eyes, through the news, through history past, things I've learned about. And, you know, it's finally starting to touch white people. And now it's like, oh,
mhm.
like, well, we tried to tell you, but now you want to learn the hard way.
Well, it's one of these things too, right? Where I'm certainly not absolving people, but
Yeah.
the lifetime learners of us, like, it's structured this way, right? Like, there are people that I think if they were taught, like, let's say that our public curriculum was accurate, right?
Hmm.
I'm not saying that you have to give the 5-year-old the same dose of racism and slavery that you have to give the 10 and the 15-year-old. However, this whitewashed version of events helps no one.
No one
And
at all.
then you have to wait until you're an adult. And then you find out things. And I mean, I'm just barely grazing the surface, right? I'm not even making it regional or whatever. I'm just saying
Hmm.
America as a whole. And then later, when you're an adult, then maybe you have a conversation or maybe someone recommends a book or whatever, and then you're reading the books or you're listening to the podcast or you're having the conversations and you're like, "Oh my god, I had no idea." And some know
Hmm.
more than others, right?
Hmm.
And this is where like I love Monty Madar because she's doing great work right now with all of that. And I come from a
Yeah.
very religious area,
She's
right?
a she's actually a friend of mine.
Oh,
That's
is
funny.
she?
I woke up this morning. I was like, I need to
Well,
text her
tell
and
her
see
if
how
you
she's
talk to
doing.
her. I think she's doing great work. She's doing really
Absolutely.
important work for especially like rural communities and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I've always I didn't really know what I was doing with the social media, right? Like I was
Hmm.
just figuring it out. So I would download her videos and like repost them on TikTok and stuff like that because I thought it was important. And then I would just
Hmm.
try and put like the link so that I was given the source. So whoever I was trying to just spread her works around. And I've done that with a
Hmm.
lot of people. But that was part of my advocacy, right? I was like, right, this is something that's really good. I'm going to try and educate people. I don't know if they're going to watch it or read it or whatever, but maybe they will.
Hmm.
And I've been really excited, like her and, MDB Global Mom, just as an example.
Hmm.
Like, there are people like that that are gaining traction, and people are watching them, and I'm like, "Thank God,"
Oh yeah.
because that type of work is so important, and I always would tell people, like, the forward
And
of that.
that's a big part of my content too is deconstructing
Mm,
supremacy, white supremacy, and
mhm.
racism in this country. Because once you start to deconstruct, that's when you start to see it
Yeah.
everywhere and see how all the lines connect.
Uh-huh.
Um, I actually provide worksheets. I'm compiling them together in an
Mhm.
actual like viable workbook.
Yeah.
But it's been something that I've been doing consistently for
Mhm. Mhm.
really the past year since I started doing content.
Right.
And I'm writing a book. It's on pause at the moment because obviously running for
Cool.
Congress. But yeah, it's called You Can't Decolonize What You Don't Recognize: How to Spot
Mhm.
Supremacy, Media, Politics, Education, and Society. Um,
Yep.
because like I said, once you start deconstructing, it's this is probably the nerdiest reference and you might not get it, but
Yeah.
there's these books. Oh, gosh, they're old. The Spiderwick Chronicles.
Yes, I know about that.
So you know when the hog spits in the eyes and you can see clearly?
Mhm. Mhm.
Deconstructing is kind of like that.
Mm.
Once you've got that spit, that eye wash, and you
Yeah.
start to see differently, there is no
Mhm.
one seeing it.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna share with you, and I can't remember everything, so I had to look it up. But there's a really good book because obviously Indiana has a very dicey history with the KKK. And I've
Oh
always leaned
yeah.
into that. Yeah. I've
Oh
always
yeah.
leaned into that because I'm like, if you don't know your history, you're damned to repeat it, right?
Mhm,
So there's a couple of us that we've started a podcast together and we're just kind of letting it rip because of things like this, because we're
mhm.
trying to share knowledge. And there's this one book called A Fever in the Heartland, The Ku Klux Klan's Plot to Take Over America. Have you read that?
Mm-mm.
Will you check it
Let
out?
me
I'll send it to you later and I'll put it in the show notes for anybody else that
No,
wants to read it.
I have a TBR on my notes.
Okay.
So, let me see. What was it?
It's called A Fever in the Heartland, The Ku Klux Klan's Plot to Take Over America.
Alright.
So a little bit of history, just very briefly, that a lot of people don't know about, but that they should Google and look into because Indiana was the hotbed of a
Yeah,
lot of this stuff.
mhm.
And, um
That is primarily why my, platform took off the way it did.
oh, really?
Uh, oh, yeah, we talk about history. I'm
Awesome.
a history buff. Um
Well, then you're in good company here, friend.
Oh, yeah, I just did a video about, the KKK presence in Chicago and Illinois, and
Okay.
oh, yeah, it's up there.
Well, then you should do one since you've got such, you've got a lot of reach, then you should Google Madge Oberholzer because that's what ended up happening in Indianapolis
What is it?
is I'll spell her name for you. Madge, last name is spelled Oberholtzer.
Oh, that's a name, okay.
So
And who is
she's in this
Madge?
book. So short version is I'm looking for the guy's name here. I don't want to get it wrong. Oh, of course it's going to jump around on me. Hold on. Hold on.
That is quite the last name, my goodness.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
So
the sun's coming out,
here
yay.
it
It's been
goes.
cloudy.
Here we go. So DC Stevenson was the grand dragon of the KKK in Indiana,
Okay,
and they had tentacles all over that then reached into Washington,
okay,
right?
yeah,
So
naturally.
what ended up taking him down, which essentially dismantled the KKK in Indiana, was, and I think I can tell you this because you're going to read it anyway, but
Yeah,
this man kidnapped this woman, took her on a train, and bit chunks out of her body, like raped her, bit chunks out of her body. It was very gruesome.
what the
And
fuck?
before she died, she gave an interview to a reporter, and the
Uh-huh.
reporter broadcast, put this in all the newspapers or whatever. And that essentially was the fall of the KKK in Indiana because here's this white woman that this other white guy that had a lot of influence. And of course, he did plenty of dicey stuff, but it was so
But
appalling to people.
why her? Was she like,
Why her specifically?
yeah, like, was she like, Negro lover or something? Like,
No, so she just I think she was like a waitress. Like she had run one of these events, and you know how those KKK guys were. Like they had a lot of influence, and
yeah.
he
I was
he
just curious
decided
because, it's like,
he
you know,
decided he wanted her. Essentially, she was a
okay,
school teacher. She was a school teacher. He could have whoever he wanted. He decided he wanted her. And
okay.
then he then kidnapped her, trapped her on this train, did his thing. And apparently he had a really, he was known for being very rough with ladies. So that sort of thing. Right. And
Yeah, I
anyway,
was just curious because, it's like, was trying to punish her for, fighting for the black people? Like, that's crazy.
but see that, so herein, this is the irony of it, right?
Hmm.
Is you have a place that's such a hotbed of racial activity
Hmm.
that says that they're here to protect white people, especially white women.
Hmm.
And then the leader of this group does that to this white
Brutalizes a
woman.
white woman.
And then it just broke everything down because people were like so appalled by what he did. Now, I'm not saying we don't still have KK and all that stuff, but what I'm saying is
Oh, yeah, they're around.
these are the pivotal points in American history that we need to teach our children of like,
Yeah.
this happened, this is why that happened, this led to XYZ, and this is why we
Mhm.
don't do XYZ anymore.
Mhm.
So anyway, take it, run with it, read the book. I would love for
Absolutely.
as many people to know about this story as possible because I think that um, these types of stories right now, with the type of things that are going on, could be pivotal in educating people about, hey, this is not a new thing.
Oh gosh, and that's oh gosh, I could talk about we could
Yeah,
have a whole we don't have
we
enough
could
time,
roast on this.
cha
We don't
but
have time.
I've made a video about the case that's not been circulated very well. Back on the 19th, March 19th,
Uh-huh.
a Guatemalan immigrant was shot point blank range by a
Mm,
white man with a rifle,
mm,
yelling in it. It was caught on video, yelling, "Do you speak Spanish and do you want to die today?"
Jesus.
The video is gotten a lot of traction on TikTok, and one of the top comments was, um, how can this happen, or how did we allow this to happen, something like that. And I just
Mm,
very plainly and simply said, by not punishing the Confederacy.
mm,
Like, this is what this is. Like, this is not, everybody wants to jump to Nazi Germany and the
mm.
Gestapo. No, it's the American South, and these are slave catchers. This has
Yeah.
always been written in the code of America.
Hmm. Well, a lot of people don't even realize where the, well, backtrack a bit. There are some that left the US and went to South America and have established the Confederacy in South America.
Correct.
People don't
I
know that.
mean, I mean, I think there is a very obvious historical reason that Trump is so deeply involved with Argentina.
Mhm.
Because if you know your history, you know that the Nazis fled to Argentina.
Yeah, but before them even, right? Like we're talking
Mhm.
1860s, like Confederate
Mhm.
families couldn't take it and left
Yep.
with their slaves.
Mhm.
I mean, anyway, like I said, we could talk
The
all day
hate
long.
is the hate is so entrenched. It is, and going back to that comment, not everything is about you. Well, like, technically, in a country that's built on racism, everything is about it, actually.
Well, and so I have a friend of mine
It's like,
I have a
hate
friend
to
of
break it
mine.
to you.
Yeah, she comes on this podcast every once in a while too.
Uh,
Um, Brown Girl Pride, and we have
uh,
indigenous conversations and
nice.
yeah, there's a whole other story to that too, right? Like there's like enslaving the indigenous before they
Uh-huh.
brought over the African Americans, like taking
Mhm.
indigenous and taking them to like the West Indies and all these different things as well, right?
And then it
Like
gets really complicated when you think about how some indigenous tribes took black slaves.
that too. I mean,
Mhm.
there's all of it. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I am this interesting cocktail of like history and I don't even know what. I don't know. But I'm sure it's my autism. I'm very certain of that. I am the rabbit hole girl and I'm like, "Oh, here's this thing. I need to know
Oh,
everything
I love
about
it.
it."
Oh, I love a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a
But
rabbit hole.
but I think that I mean this stuff and I guess this is why we're having this conversation, right? Like it's
Yeah.
very very important that you guys elect congress people that know our history, care about it, can bridge the gaps. Like
Mhm.
we can't be putting any
And
more
don't
white
and don't
people.
try don't try to erase it. Or remove
Yeah,
history that makes America look bad. If the history that you're consuming only makes you feel warm and fuzzy, it's not history. It's quite literally a fairy tale.
true, true. And I just think that I mean, none of us really know for sure how we're going to get ourselves out of this, right? But it starts with picking good people. It starts
Mhm.
with picking people that are authentic, that are vulnerable, that are willing to have the hard
Strong
conversations.
people.
Strong people, um, people that are willing to basically walk away from everything too. Like
Mhm.
these people that are running for office right now, the good ones, right? The real ones, like they're standing on business,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Bree's one of them.
Trying to be.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about you because I feel like we went all over the place today. Is there anything else that you want to really tell people about you, about either your origin story, what you stand for, what you hope to do once you get in office, who you are as a person, how you advocate, just anything that you want to share with people?
Yeah, I guess I'll wrap up with this. I think one of the most powerful things about me in the campaign that I'm running is that uh, I work in mental health,
Mhm.
and I have a very different perspective as someone
Yeah.
who works in mental health. Um, I am not threatened by partisanship. I am willing to have
Mhm, mhm,
conversations across the aisle, but more than anything, I am very firm in who I am,
mhm,
and I
mhm.
am very firm in what I stand for.
Yeah.
Um, I've been repeating over and over, "You don't even have to like me, you just have to let me fight for you." And that is something that I want to always hold true to.
Mhm,
And when it comes to being focused in the district, um, I want to actually take care and represent well.
mhm.
You know, it's a district made up of a lot of rural counties.
Yep.
And just like anywhere in America, rural counties are often left out of the conversation, but at the same
Absolutely.
time, they're the backbone of
Mhm,
us, right? There are more
mhm.
rural areas than there are major cities.
Right.
You know, that's where our farmers are. That's where I think, to be honest, the real heart of America is.
Mm,
And, you know, I live in a rural area. I'm from a rural area. Um, and I see the needs because I exist in them. And as someone who is a marginalized person, comes
mhm,
from
mm,
a marginalized background, I am not of money. I am
mhm,
not of status. I quite literally have been in the trenches and I know exactly what it is like. And I think it's high time that the people of District 12 have somebody sitting in that seat that actually understands them.
mhm.
And yeah, I think that's it.
Well, I will ask you this, I ask everybody this.
What's up?
Um, if people because we've talked about a lot of things today,
Yes.
if people don't remember anything else about you besides maybe one thing, who is Bri Woodson? What do you want them to take away? Like, what is most important to you that you want them to walk away with from this conversation?
That I am a candidate that is here to serve and that is here to be accessible. And this race is not about me, it's about the people. And I want to make that so starkly clear that
Mhm,
this is not for me. I truly want to reestablish what a congressperson is,
mhm.
and what a congressperson is and should be is a service person.
Yep.
I am of service to the people. And if nothing else, I want people to remember that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having
And
me, my
well,
friend.
yeah. I mean, this was a great conversation. I
And I'm
appreciate you
glad my
being so
dogs didn't do too
authentic.
crazy. Oh yeah, always, always. And I'm glad my dogs aren't too crazy.
No, they were good. And we're
They're
okay
good
with fur
babies.
babies here. I always say it was a fur parent before I was a human parent.
And I was like scratching my kitten's head. I love her too.
It's okay.
It's a zoo. It's a mini zoo. Not as
That's all
big as
right.
the one I used to have when I lived in Colorado, but
I hear you. Well, thank you very much for coming on
thank
today. I
you for
really
having me.
appreciate it. And we'll
I
see
so
you guys
appreciate
later.
you.
No worries. Bye, everybody. We are at a pivotal point in American history. We do not have the luxury to remain silent. Programs are disappearing every day. We hope that this podcast raises awareness and sparks a sense of advocacy in you. We all can make a difference. The important thing is to start. See you next time.